I'm going to start this review the way I usually do when I'm looking at a kitchen appliance that claims to be the perfect size for a home bar or a small apartment. Most of us have been in that spot where a glass door mini fridge looks like a great idea online, but when it arrives we are not quite sure if it really fits our counter, keeps the drinks cold enough, or ends up being a space eater we regret. I've spent a few days setting the Yeego 15-inch beverage cooler up in my own kitchen, testing it with a mix of craft beers, a half case of wine, and the usual daily soda cans, and I want to share how it actually behaves in a real-life setting. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest hesitation I had before buying any mini fridge like this is the question of placement. The Yeego unit is marketed as both a built-in and a freestanding model, which sounds flexible, but that flexibility can be a double-edged sword. If you plan to tuck it under countertop or embed it into cabinetry, you need at least a 3-inch clearance behind the unit for the ventilation. In my case, I set it on a kitchen island where the back is exposed, and the unit sits flush without any wobble. The versatile installation claim holds up, but you do have to be mindful of that clearance requirement, something the spec sheet barely emphasizes. Now, about the interior space. The cooler is advertised as having a large capacity, but the reality is that the 15-inch footprint holds about 22 standard 12-ounce cans or roughly 12 wine bottles. That's enough for a modest home bar, but if you entertain a group of 6 to 8 people who like to rotate bottles, you'll find yourself refilling the fridge twice in a single evening. The real win is the adjustable shelf that lets you slide a couple of medium-sized wine bottles to the bottom while keeping the top shelf free for cans and bottles. I tested it with a mix of 12-ounce cans, a 750 ml bottle of red, and a couple of 500 ml sparkling wines, and the door's glass panel let me see everything at a glance, no need to guess what's inside. Temperature consistency is where the intelligent temperature management feature shows its value. The unit uses a sensor that cycles the compressor more frequently when the internal temperature rises, and it settles at about 38 F after a half hour of running, which is perfect for most ales and white wines. I ran a quick side-by-side comparison with a standard countertop cooler I already own. The Yeego maintained a steadier temperature during a busy evening when the door was opened frequently. The only downside I noticed was a faint hum that became audible if the cooler was placed directly against a wall with no space behind it. That's a small trade-off, but if you're setting it up under a cabinet, you might want to add a thin spacer to reduce that noise. Aesthetically, the Yeego's tempered glass door and brushed metal handles give it a premium look that blends well with both modern kitchen cabinets and a more rustic bar setup. The design isn't just about looks. The glass panel also serves a practical purpose: no more fumbling for a flashlight in a dark fridge after you've had a few drinks. The door seals tightly, and I didn't notice any condensation buildup on the outside, which is a common complaint with cheaper models that tend to sweat. One practical concern that often gets overlooked with mini-fridges is the defrost process. The Yeego advertises auto defrost, and I can confirm that it truly does the work for you. Over a week of use, I never had to manually scrape ice, and the interior remained frost-free. That saves you a few minutes each month and eliminates the risk of water pooling onto your floor when you finally do a manual defrost. The only hidden trade-off is that the auto defrost cycle runs for about 10 minutes every few hours, which can cause a slight temperature dip. If you're storing very temperature-sensitive wines, you might want to keep a thermometer inside to make sure the variance stays within a degree or two. So, who should consider buying this Yeego beverage cooler? If you're a craft beer enthusiast who likes to keep a rotating selection of cans and a few bottles of wine on hand, and you have a dedicated spot on a countertop or a small cabinet opening, this unit hits a sweet spot. Its capacity is larger than many 12-inch mini fridges, yet it still fits comfortably in tighter spaces. The auto defrost and temperature management make it low maintenance, which is a real plus for anyone who doesn't want to schedule regular cleaning sessions. On the other hand, if you're looking for a high-volume wine cellar replacement, or you need a freezer function, this isn't the right tool. The 15-inch size caps out at a modest number of bottles, and the cooling system is tuned for drinks rather than long-term wine aging. Also, if your kitchen layout has the cooler tucked into a fully enclosed cabinet with no